Thumbs up. Brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to give an audio description of myself. I'm a white woman with very short dark hair, wearing a black and white shirt and sitting in front of a very bright orange wall. Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you very much for having me. Really lovely to be here. So I'm a percussionist. I started out as an orchestral percussionist and then moved more into the folk world, and I play lots of hand drums, congas, djembe, cajon, also baron, balafon, which is a West African xylophone, lots of different things. I do lots of teaching, I run lots of workshops, I've done quite a lot of drumming workshops in the past. I do lots of spoon playing workshops now, and we will talk about spoons a bit later on. I also do quite a bit of work in SEND settings. It's not something that I'm specifically trained to do, but I have been doing quite a lot of these workshops, I suppose in the last few years, really recently, in schools and for community groups. So, and it's work that I really love doing. So yes, it's really lovely to be here. We're going to be doing a little bit of drumming. Okay, so if anyone's got anything at all that they can drum on, that would be great. If not, maybe on your knees or a table or something. I'm going to be talking a little bit about spoon playing, and we'll also look at a few of the other smaller percussion instruments I've got hovering around here at the moment. Just to give a vague overview of the sessions that I run. So I've been doing quite a lot of workshops for a company called Music for Autism recently, and usually half an hour, 40-minute sessions. So what we tend to do is start off with a hello song, do a bit of a movement song, and then go into the main part of the session, which often has a theme, not always, but very often. We'll try and incorporate various different things into that part of the session. Obviously, you know, I've got lots of drums, so we do quite a bit of drumming. However, that doesn't suit everyone. You know, not everyone wants to be drumming for half an hour. So we try and get a mix of drumming, percussion, songs, movement into the sessions, and then generally quieten it down towards the end. And I think actually that's the kind of structure that a lot of people use for these types of sessions, actually. But one of the things that I always like to do when starting off a session, whether it's by myself or if I'm working with someone else, is we do tend to play music as people are coming into the space. It's not always, doesn't always work so well on Zoom. But when for example, if I'm working in a school, we'll quite often play a tune or get a little rhythm going. And it helps us, I think, to gauge the group, get an idea of how the group works. You know, some people will come in and start dancing. Some people will come in and put their hands over their ears. Lots of different reactions. Lots of people will come up to this drum and start playing it, which is really nice. So I always find before doing any introductions, when we're working face to face, it's quite nice just to play some tunes, play a few rhythms before we actually start. On Zoom, it's not always so easy, because if people are zooming in from home, they quite often want to say hello to their friends first, and it's a slightly different scenario. So this is a drum that I use quite a lot in these types of sessions. I'm very aware that I'm a percussionist and I have lots of instruments, and you probably haven't got all the instruments that I have, but I'm just going to show you a few things anyway, just to give you an idea of the kind of things that I use. So this is a type of cajon. It's one of my favourite instruments, made of wood, but the great thing about this one is it straps on, and I think working in these kind of environments, it's great to have quite a portable instrument. So with this, I'm not going to stand up now because I'll disappear, but I can walk around with this, I can move. So I always try and use, if I'm using a drum, I always try and use a drum with a strap so that I can move around and interact with people. Okay, so that's my cajon. Okay, now then, has anyone out there got an instrument to play? Have we got anyone got any percussive instrument? Yes, excellent. That's great. Brilliant. Yeah, makeshift instruments, drums, anything, whatever you've got. That's great. Okay. So one of the things I very often do when I get drums out, so I very often take a number of these. These are djembes. I very often take quite a few of these when I'm working actually face to face in schools, which feels like a long time since that's happened now. But this is a djembe. So it's made of wood and it's got animal skin on the top, made out of the trunk of a tree. It's hollow inside, which means that it's really great for these kind of workshops where children put their hands inside the drum and can feel the air coming out. So this is something that I do a lot. So I'll go around and let the children feel the air coming out, and you get lots and lots of different reactions. It's really lovely to see. And quite often you also have people putting their faces up to the drum as well, which is also really lovely, but you need to be obviously quite careful about not hitting the drum too hard when that's happening. But there have been occasions where I've been working with other people where somebody else might be leading the session, and I'm sitting, for maybe 5 minutes or so with a child with their face in the drum, just feeling the air. It's just a really, really lovely feeling. So there is a song that I quite often use when I do this kind of thing, and you'll probably recognise the tune. So if you want to jam along, we'll go a little bit slower than that. Who wants to feel the air today, the air today, the air today? Who wants to feel the air today in the djembe drum? So then I'll go up to one of the children, grab the drum, they'll put their hand in, feel the air, and then when they've had enough, off we go again. Who wants to feel the air today, the air today, the air today? Who wants to feel the air today in the djembe drum? So, and then we'll go along, lots of different children feeling the air. Some of them won't want to do it, some of them will stay there for quite a long time. But it's quite nice, I find, to have a little song to go with it. Okay. So I use that song quite a lot. Sometimes I'll do this little exercise before I've got all the rest of the drums out. Sometimes I'll do it after I've got the rest of the drums out. It'll very much depend on the group that I'm working with. Okay, so let's get into a bit of a rhythm. So there's a rhythm that I use quite a lot in these sessions, and it's quite a simple rhythm, but there's quite a lot we can do with it. So on the djembe, you've got the low sound right in the middle, and then you've got the high sound right at the edge. Okay, so we're just going to play, low, low, high, low, low, high. So if you've got an instrument where you can get the two different sounds, then we can go for that. So this is a rhythm I use a lot, and there's lots of different ways of using it. That's great. So sometimes we might start off by doing it on our knees, so we might do legs, legs, clap, legs, legs, clap, legs, legs, clap, legs, leg, clap. We can use the sounds of the drum. So, boom, boom, bat, 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 boom, boom, bat. If you've got someone with a shaker, you can shake low and high. Boom, boom, bat, 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 Okay? Great. And then I find it's really important to kind of establish the stopping. So I quite often do a roll and then hands in the air for stopping. Quite often spend a bit of time doing this actually. So doing rolls, quiet rolls or loud rolls, and practicing starting and stopping. And then if the children, if they're following it really well, quite often there'll be somebody who actually wants to lead, which is brilliant. So I'll get one of the children to lead the starting and stopping. Okay. So that's another thing. It's quite good to establish obviously the stopping quite early on, if that's possible. I should say actually that if anyone wants to talk to me at any point, please feel free to unmute and talk to me or put messages in the chat. This doesn't need to be a one-way thing, so please, if you've got anything you want to say or anything you want to ask, please do at any point. I'm just gonna give you lots of ideas. These might be things that you've done already. I'm just going to give you an idea of the kind of things that I would do in these types of workshops. Okay, so are there any questions or anything so far? No. This kind of rhythm I find people really latch onto, and a lot of people also recognise it from a fairly famous song as well. We will rock you. We will rock you. Okay, so that usually puts a smile on people's faces when you launch into that one. Okay, great. So other things that we could do just using that pattern. Sometimes, for example, I might put my name or one of the participants' names on the last beat. So I might go boom, boom, Joe, boom, boom, Joe, boom, boom, Joe, boom, boom, Joe. And I find that, the participants tend to really enjoy having their names called out. So it's quite a nice thing to do, to go around. Sometimes they want to say their own names. Sometimes I'll go around all the names of the group. Sometimes we might add food in there. So we might go boom, boom, chocolate, boom, boom, chocolate, boom, boom, chocolate, boom, boom. And then get lots of suggestions of names or words, food, to put on that third beat. We could go into and I did this kind of thing with a group a little while ago, and one of the members of staff was saying actually it's a really good thing to be kind of thinking of two different things. You've got the drumming going on and the clapping, so it's a kind of a mix of body percussion and drumming. So there's lots of variations on that kind of thing that you can do as well. Or you could go, if you've got a group that likes shouting, boom, boom, hey, 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 boom, boom, hey. Okay. So that's just a few different things I might do with that pattern. Some groups, you might not be doing high and low sounds. It might be just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just one sound. Sometimes it might be the staff, the teachers, carers, parents playing the beat, and the participants putting their hands on the drum or inside the drum, just feeling the vibrations. Okay, so it's not necessarily all about getting everyone to play the right beat at all. It's about what works for the group at the time. Okay, I often put songs with this beat as well. Obviously, there are lots of different songs that would fit with this. I've been doing a number of sessions all about the sea recently. Sea and the sea shanties. It seems to be quite topical. So I've used this song quite a bit. Away, haul away, we'll haul away together. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Away, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. So the words are away, haul away, we'll haul away together. Okay, that's the first bit. Away, haul away, we'll haul away together. And then away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Okay. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. And then the second time round, slightly different words. We're going to go away, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. And then the same again to end. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Okay. So I'm just going to sing the song again. If you want to sing along or play, improvise. Away, haul away, we'll haul away together. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Away, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Away, haul away, we'll haul away together. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Away, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Great. And this is another one that you could incorporate names of the group if you want to. So it just happens that my name is in this song. So sometimes I might put other people's names instead. Away, haul away, we'll haul away together. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Claire. Away, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Ford. You get the idea. So it's so yeah, I think again the feedback I've had, and especially on Zoom actually, is that incorporating names is really good thing to do. So I try and do that when we get the chance. Another song that actually works quite well that I've done with this beat, possibly for younger children, if you're doing a theme of the weather, you might know this one. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, hiding behind the tree. These little children are asking you to please come out so they can play with you. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Okay. So this beat does actually lend itself to a lot of different songs. Okay, so it doesn't have to be this beat, but there are lots of things that you can layer over the top of it. Does anyone want to say anything or ask anything? Do talk to me at any point. Okay. All right. Okay. Also, if there's anything as we go along, if there's anything you want me to send you later, any words to anything, any rhythms, any resources at all, if you either put it in the chat or let me know, and I'll make a note of it and send to Laura or Grace later on, and she can send it out. So if there's anything at all that's useful that you'd like me to send you, then please, yeah, do let me know. Okay, so let's go for another song on the that I might use on the djembe, or I might use with other percussion instruments. So feel free to play along in any way that you want to. Okay, so this is all about thinking about dynamics. Playing loudly, quietly, fast, slow. Can you play loudly, loudly, loudly? Can you play loudly on your drum? Can you play loudly, loudly, loudly? Can you play loudly on your drum? Yay! Okay, I'm going to quiet it down. Can you play quietly, quietly, quietly? Can you play quietly on your drum? Can you play quietly, quietly, quietly? Can you play quietly on your drum? I'm going to slow it down. Can you play slowly, slowly, slowly? Can you play slowly on your drum? This is always the most popular one. Can you play very fast, very fast, very fast? Can you play very fast on your drum? Can you play very fast, very fast, very fast? Can you play very fast on your drum? Woo! Okay, brilliant. Give your hands a rub together if you need to. Great, thank you for you joining in there. On looking at songs, I mean I'm really not a singer, but I do feel it's really important to be singing in these sessions, and I do quite often find that I look for songs and I can't always find exactly what I want, so I very often end up finding a recognisable song and just changing the words. So that's, yeah, I do that quite a lot. Any questions? Anything anyone wants to ask at all? No? Okay. No. Okay. Just a couple more things on drums. Let's do another little rhythm. So this time we're going low, 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 high, high, low, 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 high, high. And if you've got shakers as well, you can do shaking low and high. And I use words a lot. I'm sure this is something that lots of people do too. But again, I think it helps people to get into the rhythm. Not only the participants sort of within the group, but carers, parents, teachers who may not feel so comfortable with drumming, music. Having words, I think, helps quite a lot. So this one could be, we all love cabbage. We all love cabbage. We all love cabbage. We all love cabbage. It'll quite often turn into one of two things, actually. We all hate cabbage. We all hate cabbage. Or maybe we all love chocolate. We all love chocolate. Okay, so that's just an idea. I've done a lot of the Zoom sessions I've done. I've asked for suggestions, so we've maybe done a rhythm like that, or done a song incorporating, for example, food, and get lots of suggestions from the participants, which is really nice. Okay, I wanted to mention being flexible in sessions, and I'm sure everyone's aware of this kind of thing, but I usually have a plan, and then very often it kind of goes out the window slightly. Because the session's slightly varying in a different way depending on what's happening. And a great example of that was a session that I did, well, it was a few years ago now, I think, but it's quite memorable. And there was a group who were 11, 12, 13 years old, and as soon as I started drumming, this girl started rapping, and it was absolutely amazing. And she was just, it was just all off the top of her head. But she was talking about what was going on around her. She was talking about how she was feeling, what was going on in the room, what other people were doing. And it went on for such a long time, and it was really, really lovely. So that was just an example of when plans went out of the window and we were all drumming for her rapping, and it was fantastic. So I think, yeah, definitely having an element of flexibility and going off at a tangent, for me, I think works really well. Okay, so has anyone got any questions? Anything? No? Okay. All right. I'm just gonna show you a few other drums. We've had the djembe out for a while, so I don't know if anyone's interested in buying any drums at any point, but I wanted to show you these because I use these a lot for face-to-face workshops. There we go. Remember those Russian dolls? So these are stackable djembes, and I bought them specifically for my SEND work, and they are brilliant. Tiny one. Oops. Inside that you get a medium one, and then you've got the bigger one, and then the tops obviously go back on the top. And they've just been brilliant because you can, for a start, you can stack three in one. So when you're carrying lots of heavy stuff around, they're brilliant. Also, it means that you've got different shapes and sizes. So if you've got a wheelchair user who needs a really small drum, you've got it here. But you've also got the full-size drums as well. So yeah, I've found these to be really useful. They are Meinl sort of stackable drums. I got mine from a company called Knock on Wood, where in fact I get quite a lot of my instruments from. So yeah, I just wanted to show you those. But also, on the other end of the scale, this is just a little tiny hand drum, and I picked up a bag of about 12 of these from a charity shop not that long ago, and that, for next to nothing. So I always find it's worth keeping an eye out. If you're on the lookout for instruments, I'm aware that a lot of instruments they're quite expensive, but you can find second-hand bargains around. So these have also been really, really useful, and yeah, literally cost next to nothing.
Jo, we do have a couple of questions that have come through. I think you've answered the second one already. but the first one is about how many drums you would take to a session.
That's a really good question. It does vary. It does vary. Do you know what? It feels like a long time ago since I've actually been in a room with people. That's a really good question. I mean, quite often I've had 10 djembes and some of these and some smaller instruments. But sometimes more, sometimes less. You know what? It varies quite a lot. I would say 10 average. Not everyone is going to want to play the djembe. Sometimes when I've been into a school, you know, a class has come in and we've decided that actually the djembes, it's not so suitable for that particular class. So, you know, sometimes I won't use them at all. I suppose, yeah, probably 10 average, then with some smaller drums and shakers as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, so I have answered the other question. I was also going to show you this strap. This is a drum strap. It looks like a car seat belt, actually. But I was saying about having a drum that's portable. If you've got a djembe and you want a strap, these are great. They're very supportive, and you just put them over your shoulder, and they kind of cross at the back and clip in. And then you've got a clip. You don't have to go and buy these. You can probably make your own. But it's got a little clip to clip onto the rope. So yeah, I mean, I've used this a lot. Would I take my nice djembe with me to sessions? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, I've got there's a drum hidden away at the back there, which is my best one, which I don't generally take into school so much. Sometimes I do, but not so much. I mean, I have had drums thrown across the room, so I guess I have to be a little bit careful. Nothing broken for a while though. But again, the minor ones I was talking about, they're pretty robust. The wooden ones tend to crack easier. So yeah, they're really good. I was just going to mention adapting these kind of things to Zoom. I've done quite a lot of workshops on Zoom recently using similar ideas, but of course people are in their own homes, probably without drums. So you might have a bucket or a biscuit box or something. And sometimes there's been a few sessions I've done with older groups where I've shown them some different drums that I've got and different ways of playing. So we've looked at what they've got at home and how they might play it. So you might hold this between your legs and play it like a djembe, but maybe you want to put it under your arm and play it like a darabuka, or maybe you want to play it with sticks, or if you've got a biscuit tin and a wooden spoon, you might want to play it a bit like a baron. So sometimes I've kind of shown a selection of my drums, and then we've talked about what their object could represent, possibly. But again, using similar kind of rhythms and ideas with those. I've also done. We've also done some recycling songs because we've ended up using boxes and bins and all sorts of things from home. Try one of them. There was a can in the bin and another went in. Recycle, recycle. So they all recycled and added a can. There were two in the bin and another went in. Recycle, recycle. So we all recycled and added a can. You get the idea. So so yeah, sometimes finding recycling songs or songs that you can turn into recycling songs when you're using boxes and bins and buckets and things, I found that's been quite a nice thing to try out. Okay, so smaller percussion instruments. I've got obviously, a range of bits and pieces, castanets, shakers and things that I use. Usually go in with a box and let people just explore. And one of the things that I've realised actually is that when I'm running a session in a school, I feel like I should always be doing something. I should always be leading this or leading that. And actually, sometimes it's really nice just to give a bit of space for children to explore and just try the instruments out. So when you open the box of little instruments, just let them play for a few minutes and just try things out, maybe show them how to hold something. But just giving it a bit of space for people to explore is actually quite a good thing. One of the things I was going to suggest, I've got these castanets. They're quite good. I don't know if you can see that. And there's a frog. I think it's a frog. So I got hold of these years and years ago, and they're great. I love them. The children love them, and they look great. But what I discovered actually is that their eyes come out quite easily, which isn't so good. So unfortunately, I don't tend to use these so much anymore. However, I did then find these, which haven't got the same problem with the eyes. So we've got a dog and a ladybird. So same thing, but actually these have got the legs, haven't they? But they don't come out quite as easily as the eyes. Ladybirds are pretty safe though. So yeah, they're quite good to have. So I was going to talk a little bit about soundscapes. So obviously drumming is quite full on. Not everyone's going to want to drum for ages. Sometimes we need to bring things down a little bit. Although having said that, other percussion instruments can be quite loud as well. But just as an example, I did a session this morning with a group of young children, and we were thinking about sounds of the sea. So some of them had drums. So, I mean, you could use your drum in a different way. So make some sea sounds, that kind of thing. Some of them were quite well prepared actually, with lots of instruments at home. So I'm sure you've probably seen ocean drums before. But they're quite. You can make a very, very simple ocean drum with a curry tub and some rice. So that we had all sorts of things going on. Some of them had makeshift instruments, some of them had instruments that they already had at home. But also within that, some of them had some blue material to make waves, which is really lovely. So quite often, if we're creating soundscapes, like for example the sea, making the sea sounds, but then also having scarves, having material. Some of the children had little boats sailing on their sea. One of them got really into the waves, whereas others were kind of really into the sounds that they were making. So it was quite a nice mixture of this soundscape, with the blue material and the boats, and I think we had Nemo as well appeared at one point. So yeah, the Zoom sessions that I've done recently, I've always been in touch with the organizer, and we've organized a theme in advance and suggested things that people might be able to bring that they've got at home. For example, the makeshift instruments and the material, things like that. Lots of songs, lots of sea songs can go with that. What else was I going to show you? Ah, yes, I'm going to show you these. Okay. Okay. Has anyone got any shaky fruit and veg? Oh, we got an egg. Okay. I've ended up with a big bag full of shaky fruit and vegetables, but they're really popular. So I do use these quite a lot. Yay, we got some. I very often use these. Sometimes getting children to identify what I'm playing, and then adding songs in with them. So we might go, I like oranges, yes I do. I like oranges, yes I do. I like oranges, yes I do. I'll have some for my dinner. Just trying to remember what song that comes from now. It's Skip to Maloo, isn't it? Yeah. I've sung it that way for so long, I can't remember where it originated. So then I might change to a courgette. I like courgettes, yes I do. I like courgettes, yes I do. I like courgettes, yes I do. I'll have some for my dinner. And the great thing about this, actually, using this kind of thing on Zoom, is that I've found children will run to the other room and they'll come back with a bunch of bananas or a potato or something. So they'll see if they can find the object in their kitchen, which is really lovely. So that's my bag of shaky fruit and vegetables. Okay, spoons. I wanted to talk to you about spoons. So one of the things, or in fact, before I do, are there any other questions? I feel like I've been talking at you quite a lot. Does anyone want to say anything? No questions. Okay. All right. So one of the things I do quite a lot of is spoon playing workshops. Okay. So these are obviously just ordinary soup spoons. In fact, if anyone wants to have a quick go, I can show you how to hold them, but then I'm going to show you some other spoons as well. So if you do want to know how to hold them, they're back to back like that, and then I'm going to put my first finger in between the spoons, just past the first knuckle, thumb along the top, and 3 fingers underneath. Okay, I can see Anne's come back with some spoons. Excellent. Okay, so I'll just do that again. So spoons are back to back. Okay, I'm going to put my first finger in between the spoons, just past the first knuckle, thumb along the top, 3 fingers underneath. Okay, so I've essentially, it's like, I've made a fist. And my spoons at either side of my first finger. Okay, and we need a little gap between the spoons so that when you tap you can get the sound. Okay. Is that making sense? I'm going to show you something that's a bit slightly more relevant to this session in a minute, but I just great. So all of the things that we've done, leg, hand, the "We Will Rock You" rhythm, we can do that with the spoons. Okay. And then we can play between our leg and our hand. So if you put your hand over the top, palm facing downwards, playing between your leg and your hand. And then you can experiment with different speeds or going from one leg to the other. Okay. The reason I wanted to show you that is because you can actually get spoons that are joined together, which are really great for SEND work. So I use these a lot, actually, if you can see that. So these are joined up spoons made especially for playing, just metal spoons with a wooden handle. So you don't have to worry about how to hold them. Just grab the handle and off you go. So again, I've used these a lot doing this kind of rhythm, and some people have picked up this kind of thing, playing in between the leg and the hand. You can also get the wooden variety. Okay, so different sound with those. So that's them. Okay. Again, I don't actually work for Knock on Wood, by the way, but I do. I'm just going to mention them again. I do end up getting quite a lot of stuff from them. But these came from there as well. So knockonwood.co.uk. However, if you wanted to, you could have a go at making your own. So I've got 2 spoons back to back. Cork in there. Might need to drink a bottle of wine first. So I've cut the top and the bottom off the cork so that it's flat, so I can put the spoons either side and then wrap them around with gaffer tape. It might take a little while just to get the gap between the spoons right. I had to faff around a little bit just to get that gap right so that they worked. But yes, homemade joined up spoons, if anyone's interested in making something like that. Great. So yeah, playing on your legs and your hands, playing between your leg and your hand. And one other quick one I will show you in case anyone's interested is that we can do a little roll down our fingers. It's like a little mini drum roll. So what I'm doing is I'm spreading my fingers out like that. Fingers apart, quite stiff. And then that hand's above my leg. Spoons point directly out the fingers. And you get a little roll. Takes a bit of getting used to sometimes. It might not happen immediately. Anne has said so satisfying. It is, it's funny, yeah. It is, definitely. If anyone is interested on the spoons, I did a little series of spoon playing tutorials back in June, and they're on YouTube. They're called June Spoons, so I could send them on to you if you're interested. But yes, joined up spoons. I've used these a lot in the sessions that I've done. So drumming and spoons and a box of all sorts of things. It tends to be what I use. Okay, and again, spoons. I mean, if you get a little rhythm going, I always put songs on the top. Get a little beat going. Okay, any questions? Anyone want to ask anything? No? Okay. All right. I've just got a couple of little things that I wanted to show you to finish off. I mentioned earlier that I don't know, it's not just me. I think a lot of people tend to sort of calm the session down a little bit towards the end. And I've got a couple of instruments that are really good for that kind of thing. One of them is this one. Okay, so it's a really, really lovely sound, and again, you know, they're not cheap, but I've used it a lot in these kind of sessions, and that, in fact, there's an example of a group that I work with, a group that I've worked with a few times, I guess, and there was a lad who really was quite hard to engage. He hadn't really been engaged in the session when I met him for the first, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And then one day, it was a very small group, and we had 2 of these and a wooden tongue drum as well. And there was just a little group of us sitting, playing really gently. And he came over, sat cross-legged on the floor, and he just started playing. And he was sat with us for at least 5 minutes. And it was the first time we'd had any engagement with him. It was really, really lovely. So, yeah, sometimes you kind of, it's just about finding the right thing. Any ideas for sessions when participants struggle with it? Yes, I mean, I think quite often with I mean, a lot of it is, I find, if we can get the get teachers, carers, parents involved in the session, and you've got the whole group playing, I think sometimes that helps others to sort of slide in with it a little bit. But it's always a difficult one, that one, isn't it? Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I always try and get everyone involved in the rhythm, so that if you've got, like, if we're, for example, if we're in the same space, hopefully one day this will happen. I always try and encourage, everyone to get involved. Generally they do, but not always. And hopefully, if you can get the rhythm going as a group, I think that helps the people who are finding the rhythm a bit trickier. But sometimes, I mean, sometimes just allowing people to do their own thing and just, improvising, doing their own thing, I think is also very valid in that situation. Limited mobility. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the smaller instruments. In fact, I didn't show you. Where are they? I mean, people with limited mobility. I mean, I tend to use these quite a lot. So, if you put these around your wrist, even just a very slight movement, you can get some sounds. And again, if you've got a teacher or carer involved who can help, and people feeling the vibrations, putting someone's hand on the drum so they can feel the vibrations is a really nice thing to do as well. So I guess smaller instruments, a smaller drum, just putting someone's hand on the drum so they can feel the vibrations when you're playing, I think is really nice. And actually, quite often when I've been in that situation, the child or whoever actually doesn't want to take their hand off the drum. It's a really quite a massive thing, feeling those vibrations. It's really, has quite a big impact, I think. So yeah, great. One other thing. Have you got one of these? These are the best. These are great. This is one of my favourite instruments. I don't know how it's coming through on Zoom. Can you hear it okay? Is it coming through all right? So this is a wah-wah tube. It's just literally, it's a metal tube. If you haven't seen one before, it looks like that. It's got a little hole. Do it. So you just hit it with a soft stick and you get that wah-wah sound, and it is brilliant again for calming down a group at the end of a session. It has amazing effects sometimes, and one of the things that I've discovered is that if you hold it, I can't do it to myself so much, but if you hold it next to someone's ear as close as is comfortable for them, and then move it over their head so you can hear the sound moving over your head. It is amazing. And some, I've seen some children just suddenly stop. Some will kind of make that wah-wah movement, and it's really amazing watching the different reactions you get from it. Actually, it is amazing. So yeah, it's a great thing to have. I would highly recommend, if you're going to go and buy one thing, I would highly recommend a wah-wah tube. Brilliant. Yeah, I think it probably was, knock on wood, actually. But I'm sure other good retailers sell them as well. Yeah, great. Okay, well that was a bit of an insight into the kind of things that I do in these sessions. I hope that was useful, or at least some of it was useful to some of you. Does anyone want to You've been very quiet. Would anyone like to speak at all? Anyone want to say anything?
I'll just thank you. That was really lovely.
Yeah,
Lots of
thank you.
great ideas for stuff.
Oh, great. That's really good to know. Thank you.